What's going on, guys? coverkillernation here. And as you notice, new t-shirt. Not to mention, new little thing on the background for you guys to look at. That's right, 103.1 KVE, which is a local classic rock station which is based out of southwestern Pennsylvania. It has currently been in existence for about a year, and will hopefully be going to the internet, which means it'll be going nationwide very soon. Very cool station. Excellent group of guys that I met and talked to on Saturday, August the 6th. Just overall, really, really good stuff. And it brings me to a very important topic for today. And that is the importance of classic rock to music both today and to how it was important to music back whenever it was, well, not classic rock, but instead just rock. Here's a couple of recent examples of purchases of mine that are of this department, such as Boston's classic first album, which I reviewed for you guys. And, well, I have to show you the backs of these because the fronts are in my CD books, but some of the Doors albums as well. These are bands that were considered and are still labeled classic rock. However, back whenever they first came out, they were considered revolutionary. These were bands that were doing things that, well, at the time had never been done before. The Doors were really fusing old blues with some hard rock edges, Jim Morrison's poetic vocals and lyrics, all combined with just really beautiful atmospheres that ranged from downright scary and somewhat, socially aware, to kind of poppy, happy, and the like. A band like Boston was able to fuse big riffs and awesome production in order to create really anthemic songs, of course, such as More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, etc. We, of course, have bands like Led Zeppelin. In the metal realm, we have artists such as Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. Artists that really got the ball rolling for the artists of today, and the artists that came directly after in the 1980s and in the early 1990s. But without these bands, where would we be? We would not have what we have today. We have to give them a lot of credit. And you have to understand that a lot of the bands that you hear today, whether they want to admit it or not, or whether you want to admit it or not, do have influences from some of those classic sounds. Now, of course, in metal and things like that, where there are different genres that are created, well, literally every couple of years, well, their influences are subsequently a little bit more updated than perhaps one of the Doors, or Led Zeppelin, or Leonard Skinner, or the like. However, you see this a little bit more in alternative rock and independent rock, where they really take a sound such as Led Zeppelin and update it to kind of suit their sound. A great example of this would be the band Rival Sons. Now, we of course have also a whole different wave of experimentation. Now, this can be traced all the way back to the 70s as well, with some of the early progressive rock artists, which took atmosphere and things like that and really took it to the next level. If you want something that's a little bit more orchestral, you go back to artists such as Earth, Wind, and Fire, and the like. There's another one that's on the tip of my tongue that I can't even think of. Chicago. There we go. Once again, another city name. Classic rock and its influences literally opened the door for the wave of bands that followed, because they were the ones that initially took that leap and got this stuff out there. Not only got it out on the radio, that way people could hear it, understand it, and love it, but also took the leap. They looked at music and what was going on, and they decided to do something that was a little bit different. Now, perhaps some of these artists are a little less heavy than the things that we have today. Perhaps metal fans are not as keen on going back to artists such as a Black Sabbath and thinking to themselves, well, this was kind of nice, but I like the things that are happening today with Candlemass and the like better. Well, that's your opinion and everything like that, but without Sabbath, Candlemass may have just said, you know what? Maybe we'll just become farmers instead. You have to give these artists a whole heck of a lot of respect, but I want to know from you. I want to know what you think that this music scene that we have today, this vast universe of musical potential that we have today, what would it be like if we didn't have bands such as Boston, or the Doors, or in metal Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, to kind of pave the way for these other artists? Would music itself be the same today? Would it be such a huge empire? Or would it be muddied down with, well, copycat pop artists that all channel back to groups such as Aretha Franklin, or singers such as Elvis Presley, the Shirelles, Diana Ross? Will we be stuck still in the pop that we heard in the 50s and 60s? Or would it still come, only in different ways? Would we have different people that would be considered legends? If Jimi Hendrix never picked up a guitar, do we see an Yngwie Malmsteen? Do we see a Stevie Ray Vaughan or a Steve Vai? Does Kirk Hammett ever pick up a guitar and become the guitarist of Metallica? Do Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield, just to kind of move on with that, give a shit? Does Lars continue to play tennis? I want to know what you guys think. Because I think that these artists are damn important. Something that we should marvel at, not to mention something that we should respect, regardless of opinion. It's almost like whenever you're a progressive metal fan, if you're a guy that likes Dream Theater a lot, you really want to channel back to the artists that kind of inspired them. And they show these a lot in the albums and the songs in which they cover, such as Queen, such as Kansas, such as Elton John. So what about these guys? What do you think? And what do you think this scene would be like without them? Tell me.